Alright guys, so welcome back to the channel. Had to re-record this video. I got the habit of always having the sound down when I use the tablet to record, so here we go again, take two. This is about the re-release, the re-release, because it was been released twice. Grand Theft Auto 5. Actually no, it was re-released three times. PC, 360, the new generation systems at the time, PS4, Xbox One, and PC. Now on PS5. So this game has been released a lot. Grand Theft Auto 5 is going to make its way to the new systems in March 2022. Now, they did make a video about this, a release trailer, and it's been downvoted into oblivion, like maybe 22,000 likes and 100K plus dislikes. Understandable. The game has been out for nearly a decade. Now, granted, there has been a lot of different updates with GTA, and I can honestly say that because of a lot of these updates, the game was really enjoyable at the time. Now, the problem with re-releases is that we don't know the price of this game. We don't know if it's going to have that premium price tag of $60 or $70 for the next gen. In my opinion, it shouldn't cost any more than 30 bucks, and it should come with a shark card because the game's been out for so long, and normally GTA is not a gotcha game, but in a sense it is, to a certain extent, because the amount of money it takes just to buy the most generic car at this point in the game is millions of dollars if you want something that can actually move faster than 3 miles an hour. So in my eyes, you know what, it's I didn't take this take before, but the GTA 5 at this point is basically a gotcha game. Excuse me. Man. Anywho, it's like I said, it was confirmed. Well, it's delayed into 2022. I remember originally it did say a date of March. I could be wrong about that one, but I could have swore they pushed it back to March when I looked at one of the articles. Not much. They had a trailer similar to like what you see right here, where it just basically showed enhanced graphics, blah, 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 much better game. No, it's the same game. There isn't any extra features. It's the same game. What I did notice in GTA Online, which I occasionally sign in just to spin the wheel at the casino, in case for those that don't know, they do have a casino and you go in a penthouse. There was some new areas in the game where construction, where it looked like maybe for apartment complex, maybe they'll throw in a couple missions. 9 times out of 10, they are going to throw in more missions and updates, especially if you plan on putting it on a next-gen console. So it'll make it look like, by releasing new properties or doing a couple more missions or maybe another CEO thing, something that they could just patch real fast. It'll make people feel as if it's a brand new game. Now, let's address the controversy right here where people have issue with this. For me, if this game becomes a free game for PS5 one of those months, I don't have an issue with that. It'll be a situation. Let me make sure. Yeah. It'll be a situation where, it could become a free game of the month. People will download it, especially if you have the PlayStation Plus, whatever it is. And, there's nothing wrong with that, especially for it being a free game. But the issue was that people said this game has been released for far too long, and it's time for Rockstar to kind of, venture out into new games. Because if you notice, there hasn't been that many new Rockstar releases. They've been probably putting in a lot of their resources into Grand Theft Auto, especially given the fact that millions and millions of copies are still being sold even to this day. And some people even try to compare it to the re-release of Skyrim. Now, here's the difference between the re-release of Skyrim, the re-releases of Minecraft on different systems, 7 Days to Die. 7 Days to Die and Minecraft are sandbox games. So they can always add new ideas, new elements to survival and both those genres and keep on going. Minecraft, on the other hand, has a huge community where tons of people are actually playing that game, creating content. Is actually popular. Like they get more and more and more features, and because the creators have the ability to put their input into the actual game itself, that really helps with the what's the word I'm looking for here? The creativity, so the game never really feels old. And granted, the fact that kids play it, adults play it, is on a phone, it's on many different systems, and you're able to cross-play on Switch, on PS4, on PS5, I believe. Like, you can cross-play if you have, like, the, what's it called? Not the account, the Microsoft account, there we go. If you have, because there's a PlayStation account to play other people, and then there's a Microsoft account that you can sign in to play off the different platforms. Now, personally, I've never played off of PS4 or something onto Switch, but supposedly it's possible with that account. Don't quote me on that one. Definitely look that up. But anytime I play the game, I only have Minecraft on a Switch, so I'll play with either Nintendo people or I'll still play with Nintendo people, but we'll sign into a Microsoft account. Now, what I do know for a fact is if you have a Microsoft account and you have the same console, then yes, you can play with each other even if you aren't friends on the PlayStation Network because you guys will have each other's Microsoft ID so you can play together. Now, whether it's cross-play is a different story. Let me correct myself right there before I hang myself and someone in the comment wants to go insane and, instead of just correcting me, they want to go insulting and all this nonsense. So anyhow, like I was saying, the difference between the re-release of this game and something like Skyrim is that even though Skyrim is on every single system, PC is the one that allows it to be modded. They made an Ultimate Edition, whatever it was, that was absolutely free for PC players as an upgrade, so I never had an issue with it. I did get the game on a Switch. Unfortunately, there weren't really any console commands or anything that you could do on it, but it was for the go, and occasionally I play it. Unfortunately, they sold it for $60 again, or $50, whatever it was, which is highway robbery. And that would be similar if they sold this game that's 8 years old. Even if you enhance the graphics and make it better, it's not a remake. It's just the same game ported over with a higher frame rate. It's going to have PS4 graphics. Maybe it might look a little better on PS5 slightly. Maybe it'll have higher frame rates. Obviously, it'll load faster. But ultimately, it's the same with that game. Now, granted, there are new teenagers out there, kids that grew up over the last 8 years that weren't allowed to play Grand Theft Auto. They may not even had a PS4. And if they started off with a PS5, as some kids do, then they'll have that experience of playing Grand Theft Auto 5 on a new system. It'll be a new experience. So I do understand why they're doing this. It's basically to maximize profits. Because sometimes you have to think like a business individual, and then also you can think like a consumer. And then it's easier to understand both sides, and it's easier to come to an understanding why they're doing it. And ultimately, it doesn't matter if they were doing it because you don't have to purchase the game. That's something that a lot of people don't tend to think about. It's like, yes, games come out. Madden, perfect example. It's the same game, copy and paste. Madden has been the same game since the dawn of time. Each generation has been the same. And every time they make a new generation, it's still the same year after year after year after year. So if you can play Madden and say the same thing, then you can play Grand Theft Auto. At least this game actually has features that are different from each Grand Theft Auto game. At least they try to add new elements and DLCs and other things and overpriced cars, which again makes it a gotcha game for that one. And, just you have the ability to do different things in a game that actually is very fun, especially if you're a new player. Playing with friends in a server or in a room private by yourselves. If you're playing with other people, it's super toxic. You have your modders, especially on PC, it can get really bad. That's one of the reasons why I personally stopped playing it. But again, when you were talking about maximizing profits, if we're talking about making the most money out of a situation, of course you're going to re-release the game, especially given the fact that people are buying it. Remember, consumers are the problem when it comes to business. They're the ones giving up the money for the product. If they didn't like the product, they wouldn't buy it. But they keep buying it over and over again. This is no different than Nintendo releasing Mario 3 on every single system as a downloadable content and charging you money for it. It's the same concept. Yes, now that they have the Nintendo internet thing where you can have Super Nintendo free, you have Nintendo free, and they add games. These aren't games that are difficult to add. In truth, the entire library should already been there for the $20 a month because they're 8 megabyte, 2 megabyte, 3 megabyte games. They're so small, they're smaller than the average song nowadays. So there's no reason for them not to be able to bring all this content out, but they keep doing this as an incentive to get people to get their service, which Nintendo Online is only $20. If you really think about it, they could have put Game Boy Advance and 3DS on there. Add an extra $10 a month, $30 a month if you want 3DS and whatever. Because 3DS is now non-existent. They still might sell a couple games, but it's on a wall, and people will still play 3DS games, especially the Mega Man series, especially the Metroid series. Someone's going to come back and play Zero Mission and other games after playing Metroid Dread. That's what tends to happen when you play a game that's good, or nostalgia reasons, you end up going back to a particular system and playing it all over again. Anyhow, I personally don't have an issue with the re-release because I'm not going to buy the game. It's that simple. We have the option, we have the choice to do so. I do get why people feel the way that they feel. Hopefully it's a free upgrade from PS4 to PS5 players. And hopefully there's a way for them to transfer their data over to PS5. If so, same with Xbox. PC is PC. They're not getting an upgrade. It's just going to be what you already have with the enhanced graphics. If you have a better video card, you can make that thing look like you're walking down the street. I'm exaggerating, but it does look pretty good. Um, don't have an issue with it. Let Rockstar do their thing. This game is super successful. I think of GTA at this point, if it makes sense, as an MMORPG where you can have Black Desert, you can have Elder Scrolls Online, WoW, all those games, and they've been out for decades. Some of them, not necessarily like World of Warcraft. It's one thing. Black Desert, not so much. I forget the release date of Elder Scrolls. I don't think it's been 8 years. I'm not even sure the game is out as long as Grand Theft Auto 3, but it's been out for quite some time. And when that game came out, it was pay to play basically, and it wasn't even a great game. But now it's free to play, and if people feel like they want to drop a couple dollars in, which some will, for like a little travel pack to start off with a horse and armor and buggy, whatever it is, they're going to pay for it, and there's nothing wrong with that. But that game is free now. So hopefully, and when we really think about it, with Xbox Game Pass going on, who cares if they re-release it? If you have Xbox Game Pass, that game is going to probably be available to you anyway, day one, when they finally decide to. And that's the, so really it's more so for, I'm not even going to say PC users, because you can get Xbox Game Pass on PC also, but I use Steam, or I use the, what's it called? The download manager, I forget what it is, the Rockstar download manager directly from the PC. I guess the only person that's really going to have an issue with this is PlayStation. And quite frankly, with their return policy and what they've been doing lately, it's not a major loss. So, again, it just comes to a point where we, the people, have been so blessed with technology that we've become spoiled and rotten. I remember a time where I grew up in the Nintendo area in the 80s, born in 86, where when games came out, first of all, prices were $60. Some Nintendo 64 games were more than $60 because it was like special edition or certain ones, and PlayStation games were starting at like 40, 39, 50. The prices weren't that different. So when people say, oh, PlayStation 5 is $70, stop acting like the game isn't worth the money. Especially when you think about the time that the developer, I understand people don't want to spend more money, especially if it's like Madden, and they keep releasing the same garbage every year, and it never changes with no major updates. But a $70 game, granted, I don't want to pay more money either. Let me put that in full circle. But for a game that costs $70 compared to paying $60 for, what was it called? Conker's Bad Fur Day, or $60 for Mario Kart. When you compare Mario Kart from Super Nintendo, which it cost me like $50 to get that game, compared to Mario Kart on the Nintendo Switch, Mario Kart 8, which cost me $60 to get, with constant updates and downloads and other things, it's not really comparable. It's just that people are so picky with what they have, but they're too cheap to pay for it. If that makes sense. I'm sure some people will be triggered by what I just said, but it's the truth. Sell somebody something that you got at the store for half price, they're still going to try to rip you off. But they have no problem paying the manufacturer the regular price. It doesn't make any sense. It's like, listen, if you don't want to buy the game, just don't buy the game. Don't support the developer. Problem solved. And that's what I always felt about certain games. Armored Core change. When certain games change, like Vandal Hearts. I don't know if you ever heard of the game. It was a very old PlayStation game. It was a really good tactical game, which I honestly could say I liked better than Final Fantasy Tactics. Not that the graphics were better, but it was very tactical, and I enjoyed the game and the level up system. When Vandal Hearts 2 came out, it was an awful game. Graphics were way better. Story was, I guess, more in depth, but the way they did the turn-based system, the enemy moved along with you at the same time, so you were swinging in the air. It was terrible. I don't know what idiot decided to make that game the way they did, but they tried to do something different. Cool, try something different, but you don't do it so drastically that it ruins your game. I'm not going to support this developer if they make garbage. It's like, you shouldn't have did this. And I'm not going to buy it out of principle just to have it, if they keep complaining if the same developer keeps bringing out the same type of game and we all hate the combat. No, stop supporting the developer. They need to learn their lesson. They'll change. If they don't, they'll sink, like Sega, like other companies. If you don't learn to adapt, your company will die out. Rockstar is doing fine with this game. I look at Grand Theft Auto as an MMORPG. It is what it is. And if you have a problem with the game, just don't play it. It's that simple. Don't play it. Don't download it. If it becomes free, whatever. But if you're an Xbox user, Game Pass, if you're a PC Game Pass user, you're not going to have this issue with playing this game again or downloading it on a next gen system. If anything, it'll just be a free little addition to your library. Anyway, that's the video, guys. If you have any comments on it, I mean, I don't complain about tech. If I don't like something, I'm not going to sit here and necessarily rant about everything that happens with it. I just won't buy it. Same with Apple. If I don't like a product, I won't buy it. Or I'll wait a couple years, get an iPhone, see if there's any changes. There aren't any changes. I'll call them out on the fact that they're selling the same product 100 times a year or once a year, and it's literally no changes. Yes, the processor might be a little bit better, blah, 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 but come on, give us a customizable background or something. Anyway, that's the video. I'll see you guys in the next one.